Hello everyone, Claudia and Jose here. First of all, we hope you are all keeping healthy as well as your family. We wanted to provide you with some important real estate information while this new normal settles in, as real estate news in the newspaper might not apply to your particular situation because they tend to be more general. We've been working on some numbers to track sales activities and assess how the market is being or not affected in our areas of service. If you're receiving this email, it's because you either live or have an interest in real estate in any of these Toronto districts, or you are looking forward to moving to one of these. If you have a friend or family member who can take advantage of this information as well, please feel free to forward this video to them. We're going to be talking about residential properties located south of the 401 between the lake, the beaches, and Etobicoke in these specific districts. These codes might be confusing to you as that's not the way that you look for properties when you're searching for one on the MLS. I'm going to be referring to all properties in the areas on this map. As you can see here, if we're talking about CO1, CO8, EO1, it's easier for us to understand it, but for you, it might be best if I say Entertainment District, Niagara, Little Portugal, Parkdale, High Park, we're talking about the Annex, Yorkville, Rosedale, Regent Park. We're also talking about Cabbagetown, also here on CO8, and Porktown, Leslieville, North and South Riverdale, the beaches, the Danforth, Humewood, Cedarville, and we're going to be talking also about properties in Davisville and north of Eglinton, south of the 401. We have compiled the number of condos and houses that have been listed every week since January 6th, as you can see here. Followed up to see how these units have been absorbed by buyers. See from the numbers on this first row, 2020 started with very low inventory, especially in the house segment, where only 54 houses were listed. The condo market received 198 more units, but for sale that same week, for a total of 252 new listings, combining both houses and condos. Out of those 252 units, 161 have been absorbed to date. That's about a 64%. The following weeks show a similar behavior, with more units becoming available for sale, and we had a peak during the weeks between March 2nd here and March 15th, that's last week. This was consistent with the seasonality of the market, considering the spring market has started. This week, we have received less inventory for a total of 462 units combining both houses and condos. But even under current circumstances, there is still significant listing activity compared to the first weeks of January and February. So we have 462 units versus 252, 295. So we're still seeing some activity that's important for us. Reduction in the amount of listing has to do with some sellers who don't necessarily need to sell, holding off, either because they want to have clearer economic picture of the situation or because they want to contribute to reducing exposure for themselves and their community, which is completely fair and understandable. We will continue to monitor activity to see what the next 2 weeks look like in terms of sales, and we'll keep you posted. This graphic shows the proportion of total properties that have been absorbed by the market. In this regard, out of 252 properties here listed during the second week of January, 161 are sold to date. That's almost 64%, as I mentioned before. Out of 379 that were listed in the week of February 3rd to the 9th, 264 have sold to date. And so on if we continue with other dates, from 548 units that were listed during March the 2nd and the 8th, 269 have already been absorbed by the market. Although the ones listed since March 2nd are between 4% and 49% and almost 4% and 49% of absorption, it's still early to say what the behavior really will be. 2 more weeks will tell us more about them, and we will make sure to keep you posted. The fact that there is a decrease in the percentage of absorption of those new listings is normal, as not all properties that are listed in a particular week sell in that same week, especially in condos where there might be a condition for status certificate review, and the sale can only be registered maybe 10 days after an agreement of sale was accepted. Also looked into the number of sales per week regardless of when the properties were listed, and in this regard there are 80 condos here and 15 houses that were sold during the week of January 6th to the 12th. These are properties that are not the same ones that we mentioned before. These are properties that most likely, many of them were listed before January 6th. It's just that sales of properties took place during that week. So as you can see, we had an increase from 80 condo sales and 15 house sales to 183, 189 for condos in February, second week of February, to 83 houses in that same week. And then the beginning of March, and end of February, beginning of March, 208 condos, 122 houses got sold. What's interesting to see here is that both houses and condo sales have experienced the same behavior given the most recent events. We've seen a reduction in the number of sales here, with a steeper decline in the sales of condos, but we're still getting activity, so the market hasn't come to a full stop. The fact that condos are experiencing less sales can also be due to a higher restriction from condo corporations to allow visitors to the buildings, and that for sure is affecting those visits and final sales. See now how the houses that have sold in the past 7 days behaved in regards to price percentage, if they sold above or below asking, and the average days on market. Average listing price was $1,615,000 more or less. The sold price in average was $1,713,000 approximately. The price of 111 means 11% above asking price in average, with properties selling anywhere from 82% of the listing price and 38%, here it says 138, so 38 above asking. Average days on market, that means the time it takes for a property to sell, is currently at 10 days, anywhere from 1 day to 127 days. This marker here of 127 days is for a very specific type of house that was listed on a main street and that was listed for above $2.5 million. In regards to condos that sold in the past 7 days, we have the following: average listing price of $837,000 more or less, an average sold price of $856,000, an average difference in price of 105, or 5% above asking price, and that's anywhere from 90% of asking price and 28% above asking price. Average days on market for condos have been 16. The lowest is 1 day and the highest 154 days. That marker is for the one that was listed at 10 million that sold for 9 million, and it's common on the higher end market to have more days on market. Not necessarily is a rule, but it happens sometimes depending on the property. So again, the market is still active. We will continue monitoring and we'll keep you updated about activity. Also, with the help of colleagues in our brokerage, we have also been able to look into activity of properties that were holding offers. That means that a specific day was set to gather all offers by the seller and review them. We're still seeing multiple offers in some cases. That was Monday, Tuesday, we have Wednesday below. And we're still seeing some activity that's very common for the market. Some of them that didn't receive any offers, like this one here, they've decided to change the price to reflect the expectations of the seller. They have decided to either also maintain the listing price or just suspend the listing until they have a better picture of what needs to be done. So for example, this one here on Northdale, it was listed at $199,000. They didn't receive offers, so they relisted, or they changed the price to $1,399,000, which was the expectation of the seller. Same with this one on Woodmount, a bungalow that was listed at $899. They were expecting something closer to 1.2. They received 4 offers, but they were not meeting the expectation of the seller, so they decided to just reject the offers and change the price to the one that the seller was expecting. Let's see how it all plays out for all of them after, and again, we will continue to keep you posted. So what to do now? We all have to calm down, not panic, shift, and adjust. If you're an owner and bought in previous years or months, do not panic. We will have to apply the wait and see approach, and you haven't lost if you don't sell. We trust that once this is over, the Toronto real estate market will recover as it has in the previous years. It's too early to talk about loss in value as we haven't seen that yet. If you're selling and you must sell because you already bought another property or have been transferred from the city, then make sure to have a proper timeline in place and the correct marketing strategy to take the best out of the situation. Now more than ever, the correct online and offline marketing, the proper staging, and all the visual tours and virtual open houses are key. If you're living in the property, you can arrange alternate accommodations, please do it. Make sure there are clear instructions in place for visitors that address the current situation. It's important to note that open houses are not being encouraged, like public open houses. And as a matter of fact, our brokerage has released very strict guidelines about this that we will follow in order to help keeping our clients and community healthy, especially those with vulnerable immune systems. We want to make sure that we all are doing our part in what's happening. If you're a buyer, we are not encouraging visits unless necessary. We're applying social distancing, and for those clients who must buy now, we're only previewing properties that are of interest. We're also taking the precautions necessary and bringing our own sanitizing kit, disposable booties, gloves, and masks, and running video reports. Only if the property makes sense for you to buy, then we can arrange a viewing. Please make sure to reach out. Again, we're going through an unforeseen situation, but there's no need to panic. This is an opportunity to slow down, to decompress, to pay attention to our loved ones. If you have a garden, work on your garden with what you can. Start your home spring cleaning, exercise at home, cuddle with your pet, take time to cook on your own or with your kids if you have them, read that book that you haven't read. We trust this will all come back to normal soon if we all do our part. When all this is over, and we're sure it will be, we will come out stronger. So we send you a big healing virtual hug and wish you to stay healthy. Please reach out if you need any help. You know us. So it's just not real estate related. Reach out. Take care.